Hello, welcome to Sunday Night's Hotline Live with Record Sport. My name is Daniel Conn, delighted as ever to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith?
Oh, wow. I mean, we've talked about this season being an absolute gift and what it's serving us up, an absolute treat. That today, I'm not sure it was a football match that I was watching or if it was a sort of rolling skirmish, but you couldn't take your eyes off it. Sensational stuff from Hearts and Celtic. And probably, if you'd spoken to both managers before the game, they'd have probably shaken hands on a draw. But I think the way the game went, probably very different. I think Hearts will feel probably an opportunity missed. Celtic will probably feel quite content with getting back across the M8 without any more damage getting done. Although obviously Martin O'Neill not happy with the sending off. But so much to talk about. Brilliant game of football. Meanwhile, when nobody's watching, Rangers kind of slip under the cover of darkness. 3-0 win at home to Dundee. And they're now right in this argument, aren't they?
We will hopefully be joined live from Ibrox by Record Sports Scott McDermott a little bit later on. But as you say, Keith, plenty to talk about from Hearts and Celtic. And the perfect man to discuss it live from Ibrox is the one and only Michael Gannon. Mick?
What? Live from Ibrox?
Live from Tynecastle.
I've just jumped in the Chinook and driven across the country and flew across. Tynecastle, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, chilly Tynecastle.
You have a quiet afternoon at the library, Mick?
I'm on in dire need of a lie down after this week. Another epic kind of game. Just tremendously entertaining. I think Keith, you touched on it there. I mean, it wasn't much of a football match right enough. It was like something kind of from the 80s, wasn't it? Really. We're getting back and forth like a game of tennis at times, but just a good battle. It had everything. Obviously, had the goals, a bit of controversy with the red card, bust-ups in the touchline with Derek McInnes and some of the Celtic backroom boys having a bit of an argy-bargy as well. Just had a whole lot of drama. What's that?
Have we got a name for that one? Derek McInnes has said it was one of their more inexperienced coaches. So
yeah.
It wasn't Martin, wasn't Sean. Was
that's I've got culprits, but not got any names. I think the fingers are getting pointed towards Mark Fotheringham or Steve McManus. One of those boys involved. It definitely wasn't Sean Maloney. He was kind of ahead of the kind of fun and games behind him at that point. Listen, it wasn't that. It's just a bit of an argy-bargy, really. I mean, the tensions were running high at that point in time. And they were all day. In fairness, it was like that kind of afternoon. It was really tense, really tight. There was a lot going on. I think in the end, Hearts deserved to get something from the game. I think if they hadn't got something from the game, they'd be absolutely kicking themselves. I think Celtic were running in fumes. I don't think they played particularly well, Celtic. I mean, they couldn't string two passes together.
Well, Mick, see, on the ball, I thought that was as bad a performance as I've seen from any Celtic side in such a long time. They just took it in turns to completely lose their composure.
I think Celtic were I think they were into the game looking a bit run on fumes from Thursday night. Mm-hmm. And I think it was quite funny because Martin O'Neill told us during the week that Trankara is not a target man. So no one told his team because the first 25 minutes they shelled it to him every time. Celtic, I don't think I've seen Celtic play that way for decades. Launching the ball long, taking their time at goal kicks and all that stuff, and just trying to kind of just almost see it out from the start. They got that early goal, giving something to hang on to, but they were never going to last that long. Try to defend that way. Couldn't get the foot in the ball. They're launching it up to the striker. He wasn't winning much in there, but he was a presence. He was getting involved, and they were fighting for kind of second balls. For a while, they kind of won the second balls, but I think the legs have to go a wee bit with Celtic. And Hearts really kind of dominated for long spells. I don't think Hearts were particularly great either. I need that's another problem. I don't think Kabori up top, the ball didn't stick very well. He's not Lawrence Shankland. But they had better chances. I mean, a couple of chances in the first half. Craig with a great save. So Celtic were quite fortunate to be ahead for so long as they were. Obviously, then Hearts strike back, set piece, another set piece. I mean, they're the absolute experts. I mean, that's I think 17 set piece goals this season they've scored. I mean, Halkett and Finlay between them get about a 10, I think, between them. Another set piece goal gets them back in the game now, and they kind of battered Celtic a wee bit. It's like creating an awful lot, but they were well in charge. Celtic were looking as though they were running out of steam. And out of nowhere, Celtic get the goal, and it was the big striker. I thought was outstanding. He's part of that goal with a brilliant touch to play it across to Maida on the turn. and he spun and he won the ball back and ran, hit the Jets, a real turn of pace, got the byline cut back for Yang. I thought it was a real kind of impressive bit of football from the striker who had a kind of tough afternoon. Apart from that, but it was a real promising move. But it was a bit surprising. That time that Hearts looked really dominant. I thought they were going to kick on and get another one. Just 2-1 up and kind of having something to hang on to. Then you get the red card, which is like another major kind of turning point. I mean, Hearts were dominating that time anyway, but they've got the chance to get against 10 men. And at that point, Celtic, I think, can get out of here with any kind of result would be helpful. And sure, if they couldn't hang on, I mean, I think the pressure just eventually just told on them, and yet another kind of ball in the box, some set piece, and Hearts get the goal. But I think Hearts, it would have been criminal if Hearts didn't get into this game a day and much fit into it. And like you say, I think Celtic will probably take a 2 weeks draw in the circumstances, coming here, looking a bit tired, a bit knackered, and then go to 10 men. They'll probably take it. But it doesn't really do much for Celtic in terms of the title race. I think it gives Hearts more belief again. They're missing some key players, and they're dominated against Celtic, and probably would have been unlucky not to win the game, and certainly deserve a draw. So I think they'll take more belief as well. And I think Celtic, in the contrary, I think on the flip side, just look as though they're a team that's running down in terms of the energy levels, badly need signings, and it's now a kind of another big game midweek in Europe, which you could probably do without, to be perfectly honest. It's a team that badly needs help. This current 3-horse race, Celtic are the lamest of the horses right now.
Mick, you mentioned obviously the red card call, and a lot of Celtic fans in the comments are raging with it. Wilkinson says, forget emailing at the SFA, it should be Police Scotland Celtic are emailing. Craigie says, someone explain to me how VAR can say Scales isn't getting there. No one can say either way, so the on-field decision remains. And Big Rab says, it's an absolute disgrace. The ref should be sacked. It's a shocking red card. How did you see it?
I thought it was a red card. I thought my instinct at first was he's in big bother here. I thought Trusty's in major bother. I was quite surprised to see the yellow. Also, again, I can see the argument that Martin Neal and the fans you mentioned have had. He is running diagonally, and there is a man, but he's 20 yards away. I think, is it a goal opportunity? As he takes touches, has he got a shot and goal? I think so. I think I can see the argument, but I think my initial reaction was a red, and I still think, I think when you look at it again, I think it's a red. I think Trusty, as soon as he goes to the VAR, I mean, he's actually picked the much off the pitch by the time he gets the red card. I think he knew it was coming. Yeah. So I think he knows he's in major bother. As soon as he gets done in behind, I think he's got a problem. And I think it was probably the right call to give him a red card, yeah.
Keith, I probably agree. My initial thought was when he got the yellow, he's very lucky. But how did you see it?
Yeah, honest truth, I think that Stephen McLean bottled it. I thought it was an obvious red card. And I know the arguments, and that, you know, Martin O'Neill saying, I think he's trying to say that Dane Murray was tight and could have come in as cover. To me, he's about 15, 20 yards too far to the left-hand side to have an impact on it. And, you know, somebody mentioned Scales. Scales about 15 yards behind the incident. And, you know, the big lad Kabari's a flying machine. So I don't think he's getting back either. I think Mick's right. I think even though the ball is going slightly off on a diagonal, I think he's going to get it if he's through, and I think he's got a shot at goal. So yeah, I just thought the referee, it was a big call, and I think that he probably bottled it a little bit, and then when he's asked to look at it again, it kind of puts him in that situation where he can't not produce the red card. So I can understand where there'll be complaints and some gnashing of teeth, but for me, my first instinct, where I was actually struggled to believe that it was only a booking, and I think the look in Trusty's face said pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, I can see why there'll be debate, because there is enough of an argument, I guess, to debate it. I just think it just kept into the domain of a red card. I think he's away into goal. He can take a shot and goal, which means a goal opportunity, which means he's in bother. And like you say, I think Trusty had a hint in the kind of the hand in the cookie jar, didn't he, about him at that point in time. And yeah, so it was a probably, I thought, the right decision. But it was like, I thought Trusty had an awkward afternoon, to be honest with you. I think he had a great game out in Bologna. I thought he was outstanding, but I thought this one he was just a bit more ropey, maybe tired legs. It's a game it doesn't kind of suit him. I think he suits being a kind of penalty box defender. Whereas that kind of ball over the top, it can push him in bother sometimes. He was in the first half and he tried to he thought about passing it back or kneeing it back to Schmeichel, and he really made a mess of it. So it wasn't a particularly comfortable afternoon for him, and that kind of put the tin lid on it in the end with the red card.
Mick, I think it's worth mentioning Kasper Schmeichel because he's taken a lot of stick this season, and rightfully so, but a couple of really big saves today.
He did do a couple of big saves. The one in the first half in particular was a brilliant save. Do you know what? The first goal, Hearts goal, I think, again though, I mean...
Suspect.
I think the ball drops 4 yards from the goal in the 6-yard box. And I think your goalkeeper's got to be coming and using his presence in there to deal with that, whether they getting hands on it, getting a punch on it, or ideally collecting it. I just think, I know it's not really the modern thing these days, but I mean, I just think that especially against Hearts, who are going to drop the ball and going to shell it in that area, I thought he could have maybe... Listen, I've only seen it once or twice. I've not got a chance to look at it in detail. Again, my first viewing was the header was very close range. I know it's back post, so you need to get your legs back pedaling. It's not easy.
Should he not come across, Mick? See, for me there, if you're a goalkeeper, where's the threat? The threat's behind me. You know that Finley's good in the air. I just wonder if he shouldn't be more across, to cover the post. I don't think Finley should be able to squeeze it in from that angle if the keeper's got his angles right. That's the one thing that I would say about it. But listen, see the one-handed stop? Mick, I don't know if you've seen it properly. He makes a one-handed stop in the second half from Braga, just about point-blank range. I have no idea. I have no idea how his reflexes were sharp enough to make that save. It's actually reminiscent. He won very similar the other night, didn't he?
He just sticks a hand out. I seen that. Yeah, it was a great reaction. I think he's hard done by at times. I know I'm a cheek because I'm talking about the cross ball, but I think he gets a bit of rough right at times. He does make important saves, and the two today were huge. I just think 6-yard box is your goalie's house. Listen, I'll get some cheek because anyone who's played me will be like that. He's got a brass neck on talking about coming for crosses. The original Dracula himself here making comments about cross balls. So I fully understand. I'm leaving myself wide open here to anyone who's seen me play back in the day about cross balls. But I just think 6-yard box, you want to see your keeper taking it all out, emptying it all out, taking bodies with them.
I tell you what I think Celtic needed to see more of today was a bit of composure and control in the middle of the pitch. For me, I know Nygren has scored an absolute peach, right? That's a
beauty.
It had no place in that game of football, by the way. It was too pretty. No. It was stunning. But I don't think Celtic get anywhere near enough from the middle of the pitch today. And I thought that Engels and Nygren, and it's not for the first time. See when it really starts to get a bit tasty, when it's physical, I'm just not sure that they give enough. I also think it was really interesting that Hatate, given that he only put in not even half a shift the other night, that he got left on the bench. I think that's a sign of how angry Martin O'Neill was with that red card. I mean, he didn't even come off the bench at any point when it looked apparent that Celtic were losing the midfield and they had no control of it.
Yeah, I actually thought the first 52 minutes they were doing okay. I thought, as I say, they kind of second balls that the striker was kind of bouncing off that area. They were doing all right. But I think the first 15 minutes stopped. Mark Leonard, I thought was a kind of a reeling baptism of fire back in Scotland. I think he was like this, the head go like that. What's going on here? He actually took a fresh air swipe at one point. It was just all so hectic. But he kind of got to him and Magnuson. I thought eventually got to grips with it a wee bit. It wasn't really a game for midfield players, was it? Really, it was getting shelled from one end to the next, and the ball would drop. The ball would drop in the middle, and it's just a big. It was like what's that game you used to watch in Transvaal? Like Kabaddi or something like that. It's just a big scrum in the middle of the park. And I just thought Engels and Nygren, I think at times when it's nice and it's August and the pitch is lovely and it's nice and all that, they can pick some nice passes. But when it's hectic like that, they do tend to get their head scrambled. I think Engels, I thought today, I thought he got dragged into the melee and didn't really cope with it. Napian's a kind of graceful player, isn't he? He likes a bit of time in the ball when he can culture a pass, but you're not going to get that. This is a bear pit. This is Tynecastle in January, a title race. You're not going to get time. You're not going to get time to breathe. I mean, lift your head, look for a pass.
But he did come up with that moment, didn't he? He came up with a great ball for Sankara. A lovely little chip from the edge of the ball. That nearly came out of nowhere as well. You got to bear in mind, Celtic hit the bar at that point. Could have a grip of the game at that point. From nowhere.
That's the thing. That was one of the very few moments in the game. Celtic. That was one of them. Just before the goal, wasn't it? He's got that. He's got that in his locker. Listen, his numbers are phenomenal. 13 goals for the season. He's joint top scorer in Scotland this season. I mean, he's proper. I mean, he's captain Stato in Scotland. Just that when it gets a bit hair and scare him in this league in games like today, I thought it was a struggle for him. And I say Engels the same. There's no doubt he's a quality player, and you see it. I think when he plays at upper level, when you see it in Champions League and then Europe League, I think he's more suited for that level. Weirdly, whereas when it's hair and fire and running about daft and winning your battles, it's not quite his kind of day.
Yeah, I think Hearts bullied Celtic today.
Listen, but that's because that's what Hearts are. I mean, that's what they do. And Celtic are a bit lightweight. I mean, Callum McGregor, I thought was good, but he's got work cut out. I mean, he has got his work cut out because he's not got much kind of muscle alongside him. Again, 2 hard games in 4 days, and he's nearly 33. He'll have been feeling it the last 20 minutes as well. Celtic back to the bigger picture. Celtic are well short at this point in time. They're third. I think they're third favourites. They're now third in the league, aren't they? And they're very much third favourites to win this title. At this point in time, unless there's some serious work done this week with Celtic, I don't see it happening for Celtic this year.
That was going to be my last question to you, Mick. I know you've obviously got post-match duties to get on with.
Mystic Mick here. I'm just trying to keep it moving on. It's freezing here, boys.
Well, a lot of people are asking for your take on that. Marzuno says Celtic couldn't string a pass together. They look knackered. It's all still left to play for. Timmy says it was Hearts that blew it big time. A Celtic team coming off a tough Thursday night. They were there for the taking. Hearts blew it. Charo says this today throws it all in favour of Rangers. But Mick, you say if it stays the same way, you can't see Celtic winning the title this season in terms of the squad.
To be honest with you, I can't see it anyway. I think they've left it too late in terms of bringing in players that are going to hit the ground running, and I think too many of the guys that are probably running out of steam at the wrong time. I just can't see it. I mean, I can't see it. And if Celtic do manage to pull it off this year and get over the line, Rangers and Hearts would be absolutely kicking themselves because there's never a better opportunity, the two of them, to go and do this. Because Celtic are probably not going to be as weak as they are now at any point in time. And you've got to say they've lost. I mean, that points that they've dropped, they probably wouldn't deserve to win the league this year. So if they can pull it off, it'd be I'm not saying a collapse from the other two, but I mean, it would haunt them forever, really. I think you look at Rangers, what they've spent this year, they've got the highest wage bill in the country, they've spent the most money. If they don't get the job done now, I think they'd be disappointed now. I know Hearts are still ahead, but given the fact they've invested heavily, they probably will again this week. If they can get a striker in the door in the last few days and get Danilo off the books and get a striker in the door, I think they're massive favourites to kick on. Hearts, you've got to remember, on a fraction of the budget of these two are in there, and they're the ones that deserve every bit of credit for doing so. I mean, shop in different markets, and they've built a brilliant team. The managers combined these kind of legacy players with these kind of Jamestown players and made this into an absolutely ferocious outfit with a bit of both. You get the grit, determination, organisation that Derek brings to all his teams, and a bit of magic that Braga kind of series bring as well that they've added to it. So they have done amazingly, and I wouldn't put it past them to keep us going, because when the going gets tough, they know how to dig it out. They've dug it out with 10 men in the last couple of weeks to get wins. They dug it up a point here against Celtic. But by the way, for all their issues, are still a team for internationals.
Yep.
On mega money. When they're still bringing all guys off the bench who are still on 3 times the wages that are from the guys at Hearts. So let's not be getting violins out for Celtic at any point in time soon. But you've got to say the advantage now is with Rangers. It should be anyway. So if they don't get it done, they'll be bitterly disappointed, I think. And it's amazing to think that, given they gave the league an 8-game start.
But it's amazing, Mick, that the people that have done the real damage here are no longer part of it. It's the M&M show. Martin and Mendy. Because they've punched holes in their own club's championship chances here, and what was it, 12 points that Mendy managed to drop over the course of his 3-4 weeks in charge? It's astonishing.
6 defeats in 8 games, all in.
Yeah, so it's torpedoed the season, really.
Yeah.
I mean, with Celtic being in this position, if Brendan Rodgers was still on the manager, no, of course they wouldn't.
No.
Of course they wouldn't. Likewise, when Rangers gave up their start, the 8-game start, but they identified that they'd messed up with a false start and corrected it. And Danny Rowe has done brilliantly to steady the ship, get the early results needed, and now he's getting some of the wins. And the reason why I keep saying it, they're now getting the wins. I know today, by all accounts, wasn't that pretty, but it's comfortable enough. They're getting the results now in the games that are the 1-0 wins and the biting and scratching and being lucky the goalies bailed them out. That's kind of now, they're beyond that stage, and now they're kind of winning games a bit more comfortably. Hearts having to dig it out every week is hard every week. Celtic having to dig it out every week is difficult. Martin Neal's having to do it every week. So they're in different places. I think Rangers have got momentum and they've tooled up. And I think Celtic are looking like a team that's kind of on their knees right now. So I said to Martin Neal after the game, "You're looking to get 2, 3, 4 in this week," and he went, "Well, I don't know about your numbers, but a couple would be good." And I'm like, I think he needs 3 or 4 minimum to even have a sniff.
Yeah, I do
realistically.
I do think while this window's still in play, there's opportunities. I think that if Rangers are going to win this league, I think they probably need about 2 more. And I think you're right, Mick. I think Celtic could do with 3 or 4 coming in to give the whole thing a shot in the arm, because they just don't look like themselves. They don't look in their current form capable of. I think you said it previously. Once you get into this stretch, are any of these sides capable of rattling off 6, 7, 8 wins in a row? Celtic don't look like that just now.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, listen. I think that the fullback they brought in, whose name I can never get right, Arojo. Yeah. I think he's looked good, and I think the striker looks half decent. But I still can't believe that in January 25.
Yeah.
This game that's been on the calendar for so long.
Well, a big red mark around it.
I mean, they haven't come in with 3 or 4 first team ready recruits. I know. Listen, I know the cliche about the January window is tough. Well, tough as you want to be.
Yeah.
So they've left themselves short. I mean, they've got a point today. Which, any time is a good point, I guess. But I just think that they've left things a bit late at this point in time. I just think this season for Celtic has been too many mistakes. And if that's what I'm saying, if they can get out of this winning the title, you think how is it possible? I mean, I know Martin Neal is working miracles, but that would be the biggest ever, wouldn't it? I think if he managed to pull it off.
That's Houdini stuff. But you're right, Mick. The bottom line is it's mismanagement. This January 25 had a big red circle around it. Everybody knew what was on this game today. I actually think that once again, Martin Neal has got them out of a hole there, because that's a game that Celtic probably shouldn't have managed to draw. Had they lost it and went 9 points behind, I think it's starting to feel like the dying embers, isn't it? I think Martin Neal has single-handedly repaired, a lot of the early damage, got Celtic back in the mix. And then he's now trying to mop up after Mendy's mess, and it's a big ask. But that's why he needed help.
Sorry, Keith Nancy. People keep
What
saying Mendy.
Oh.
He's getting old, everyone. He's getting old.
Listen, I know that. I know a lot of people get the Men in Black pen out for that whole part of the season, but I was trying to wonder what you're talking about. Who are we talking about here? Forgot that whole wild 5 weeks.
Oh man, I've had a brain freeze. It's been a long day.
But look at Celtic's bench. There's no other striker on the bench today. I know Iheanacho is coming back, maybe in the next kind of week or 2. So the new striker has only played 90 minutes once in about 2 months. So he kind of gets a bit tired and comes off holding his side. There's nobody on the bench. I think Celtic. I said get back to it all the time. 70 million quid in the bank and no get a striker on the bench. I mean, it's quite ridiculous, really. And they're still short. I mean, I know Yang got his goal today, but you're relying on Yang, whose bags are packed in the summer, to play right wing. I thought he struggled today. I thought he got his goal, but I thought he wasn't great. His supply to the striker wasn't great. Dyson Maida wasn't great either. On the other side, didn't create an awful lot. I know he was involved in the goal as well, but apart from that, I thought he struggled a bit. Definitely creativity. But the Celtic needed attacking options, needed strikers, needed a midfield player with a bit of muscle. I still think they need a centre half. They're still 4 or 5 short to get to the finish line. I think it was relying on collapses of others to get the job done.
Mick, it's been an absolute pleasure as always having you in the Hotline Live. I'll let you get up the road, safe travels, and I let you try and catch a warmth.
Yeah, I wish I'd read that. I remember Kibadi. I'm a match sports. I mentioned it now. I knew how to spell it. I got it in there, but no, I forgot.
Channel 4 Saturday morning special, wasn't it?
Aye, is it Transworld Sport? No,
Transworld Sport, that was it, aye.
Yeah, it's like Transworld. That means something else these days, doesn't it?
On that note, Mick, thanks for joining us all.
Oh, you've pushed the cancel button.
Oh, cancelled again. All right, sorry, boys. See you later on.
Cheers, Mick. Michael Gannon from Tynecastle there.
Oh,
moving swiftly on. In the comments, David Beattie says, I think today shows how badly Celtic have regressed. If they don't sign 2 big strong centre halves, a strong midfielder and a right winger, then our title race is run. And in the live comments, if I can find it, Craigie says we have to calm down. Celtic are missing 4 out of 11 starters. Both Hearts and Rangers will struggle with that. Patrick says Celtic will canter the league by at least 5 points. The financial muscle will be flexed this week. I don't know about you, Keith, but I hold absolutely zero faith at all. As we sit here in January the 25th, Celtic have 2 loan signings in the door. I've got zero faith they will make the 2.
I keep coming back to it, Daniel. This game, today's game, was always there. It wasn't as if somebody released the fixtures last week. Yeah. Everybody knew what was on this game, what was on this trip to Tynecastle. And Celtic's board basically pushed Martin O'Neill out into a gunfight with a water pistol. If they weren't prepared to get business done and get reinforcements in ahead of this game today, then whatever they do muster now could be too little too late. And that's what I'm saying. They owe Martin O'Neill a debt of gratitude that today there was no real damage done, that Celtic, obviously would have wanted the win, but they didn't lose it. And that's down to, a bit of luck, yeah. But again, it's Martin O'Neill sprinkling magic dust on a season which has been shambolic.
And as Chris here says in the comments, Celtic, they can make signings, but that's after the horse is bolted. I mean, they've let Rangers back into this title race. Hearts are still, 6 points ahead? It's just crazy. It's been a crazy season.
Yeah, and so this is what I'm saying. This is why I think it's really hard to have any faith in the business of the board when Celtic could easily have gone 9 behind today. And then what? So I think because of Martin O'Neill, because he keeps getting results, he's taking the heat off, because if Celtic go 9 points behind, having not, tooled their manager up for that game at Tynecastle today, I mean, I hate the phrase, but they are bringing it on themselves.
Yeah. Well, look, we're hopefully going to be joined any moment by Record Sports Scott McDermott, who's been at Rangers' victory over Dundee. But let me hit you with this, Keith. Your loyal Muppet has been nipping my head in the comments to ask you this. He says, beautiful Sunday. Keith, I'm waiting on your comments on Rangers not being contenders. He then goes on about the red card at Tynecastle. But Keith, Rangers, are they now genuine title contenders?
Well, of course they are, because of where they're sitting. Danny Rowe, listen, I don't know how many times I've got to say it. Danny Rowe has done an incredible job with the odds and ends that Russell Martin left behind. I still come back to, I believe Rangers need more quality before they look like a real credible title-winning Rangers side. I think there's some way, but not that far away now. They've bought well in the early part of this window. I think if Danny Rowe can bring in 2, probably 2 would do, but they have to be good enough to walk straight into the starting 11. And if he can do that, then I think Rangers are in a really strong position. Of course, they're contenders, but do I think they're strong enough as they are? I think Danny Rowe himself would say that he needs another couple before this window shuts. Yeah. And, it was really interesting. We talked about it the other night when he was asked if there's a wow signing. and he certainly, without saying yes, there could be. He kind of said yes, there could be. You could tell from looking his face that's what he's hoping to achieve. And so that could be fascinating, because if they have got a real big hitter lined up, that could be all the difference. And that's what I'm saying. I think it's still, while the window's in play, there's still time for all three of these teams to do something really significant. But Celtic,
sorry, Keith, you think striker?
Yeah, I think Rangers would be looking at a goal scorer. If they can get a goal scorer in, I think it might just probably a midfield player, because Connor Barnes is injured, so they probably need a midfielder. And if they can get themselves a real prolific finisher, then it could be the final piece of the jigsaw for them.
Yeah. Well, like I say, we are waiting.
The Celtic have showed how hard it is to sign a striker.
Aye. I know that absolutely, and we're waiting on Scott McDermott, who will join us live from Ibrox. But before then, Keith, let me run through another couple of comments for you. Luke Skywalker says Roll came in 13 points behind Hearts, 8 points behind Celtic. Now 2 clean of Celtic, 4 behind Hearts, 8 wins in the spin, 6 or 7 clean sheets, not a goal conceded at home in 2026. Phenomenal. Charles says results today leaving in favour of Rangers. They'll continue to slowly and quietly claw their way back into this title race.
There's big tests ahead for Rangers as well. I think they are in really good shape right now. They couldn't hope to be in better shape given the way that the season had started. But there's big tests ahead, and this is a Rangers side which has been flaky in terms of mentality. There's now the pressure begins to shift. It's a different sort of pressure. They've got themselves ahead of Celtic now. They're still kind of playing the hunter because Hearts are in front. But if they get themselves up to the top of the pile, how's their nerve then? And these kind of things are yet to be fully explored. In a way, the pressure's been off Rangers because they're coming from nowhere, the back of the pack. But now they've managed to manoeuvre themselves into this position. They're within striking distance of the leaders. They're ahead of Celtic. So again, different sorts of pressures. And that's why I feel that Danny Rowe has done such an excellent job. I'm sure that Andrew Kavanagh will be desperate to back him as much as he can in what remains of the window, because there's a real opportunity. But the more quality that he's got at his disposal, the better chance they have of going on from here and actually making a run for the line. Yeah.
In the comments, Keith, Sean, I think being slightly mischievous, says, if you had £10, guys, would you put it on Rangers or Hearts for the title? Obviously, deliberately leaving out Celtic. But as we sit here right now, I know it's a tough question. I think we can actually see the Premier League or Premiership table. Where would your money go?
Look, do you know what? And this is a sort of I'm dodging this question.
I know you're not a betting man.
No, I'm not. But I tell you where I'll put my tenner when the window shuts. I'm so convinced that what business is or isn't done over the course of the next week will determine the outcome of this title. So you can pin me down next Monday or Tuesday, and I'll tell you where my tenner's going.
Sean, if you're watching, come back then. But for now, we are joined by the one and only Scott McDermott from Ibrox. Scott, we've just been talking about Rangers. Massive win for them again today.
Massive win, Daniel. 8 wins in the spin for them. Keeps the run going, keeps the momentum going. A strange game in a way, because it was a slog at times for Rangers.
Did it get nervy, Scott? Did it get nervy?
It got nervy, Jacko, towards the end at 1-0. Obviously, there was a big roar came up for the crowd when Hearts scored to make it 2 each. So there was a kind of reaction there, but it's still 1-0. It's still a bit edgy. Rangers had a few kind of breakaway moments that they wasted, chances they squandered. So there was a wee bit of anxiety within the crowd, but then obviously you get the 2 injury time goals, which settled the nerves. The kind of roof came off the place, and then everybody was happy at the end. But it was a strange game also with the delay at the start, and then Rangers didn't start the game too well. I thought Dundee were actually did well in the first half without creating any big chances. they were quite brave. They were pressing Rangers, and Rangers found it difficult to break them down. But how many times have we said this about this Danny Rowe Rangers team now? They just seem to find a way to win games, and by full time, it's a 3-0 victory, 8 wins in the trot. Tavernier gets his 100th league goal, and most importantly, they've closed the gap again at the top of the league in the title race.
What did the new boys look like, Scott?
Look, they didn't do too much. I think they were on for like 50 odd minutes each. They actually Chukwuani scored a goal in the first half that was ruled out for offside, and it was a cracking ball for Skov Olsen right on his head at the back post. So that was their kind of best moment. Obviously, the goal get chopped off. Chukwuani did the kind of simple things quite well in midfield. He didn't just sit though as a deep line midfielder. Raskin was kind of behind him most of the time. So he actually showed something that maybe people didn't expect for his game. He was trying to drive forward, get into kind of attacking areas, as he showed with the header that he scored from. Skov Olsen took a while for him to get into the game, but he did have a hand in the kind of build up to the penalty incident, which got Rangers in front. So look, we just spoke to Danny Rowe. He was asked about them. Quite rightly saying it's going to take them time. I think these guys are good players, obviously, but in terms of finding a rhythm, and you could tell actually when the subs came on the day. Danny Rowe mentioned this. He brought subs on who have been with him a long time now and know exactly what he wants from them. So the subs actually improved Rangers when they came on, hence getting the 2 goals at the end.
We've just been debating, Scott, a few things about Rangers, namely who they should and might still bring in before the end of the January transfer window. Gary is one of a few people in the comments saying Rangers need to bring in another striker, a centre-back and maybe a central midfielder. What's your thoughts on that?
I think in a perfect world, Daniel, that's exactly what Rangers would do. I think those are the 3 positions. I think they probably still need a bit more cover at centre-back, especially if you think John Souttar's out at the moment injured. Cornelius is still injured as well. In midfield, I think they would be okay if it wasn't for Connor Barron's injury. I think that's thrown a kind of spanner in the works. Danny Rowe mentioned the other day probably would like to add another midfielder in there if they can. And I think the big one is the striker or attacker, as the manager kind of keeps saying. I don't think necessarily it will be an out-and-out centre forward. I think he mentioned the other day actually, he'd quite like someone to play across all 3 positions up front. And I was at the press conference, and I must admit I immediately thought of Masvanisi, obviously at Motherwell, who's capable of that. He can play right, left, or through the middle. Now, it might not be him, but I think he's determined to try and get another attacking player, and just to give him another kind of weapon. In the final third, he's confident that Skov Olsen's going to give them something different when he gets up to speed, and I'm sure he will. But ultimately, they need more goals. They're still passing up too many chances, too many opportunities. So I'd be amazed if he doesn't get another attacking player in before the window closes.
The Rangers fans are certainly feeling very confident in the comments. The Sniper says, the fact we're still in this title race with the way we started is unbelievable. JD says, at the start of the season, I was saying the league was over. To say that Rangers are now title contenders is incredible. What a season this is turning out to be. And we were debating it as well, Scott, before you come on there. For me, anyway, it's not just the fact that Rangers are where they are. There's a good feeling about Rangers now. You can see it in them, the way they play. They're confident. There's a feel-good factor about them.
100%. I don't think it's just the team, Dan. I think it's the supporters now as well, as you've just said in the comments. And there was a different feel to things today. It felt like it's been a long time since you heard that roar going up with a goal elsewhere, because that used to happen pretty regularly when Rangers and Celtic were fighting out for titles. They were neck and neck. It was interesting, obviously the club put out a video message during the week asking the crowd to raise the noise levels and get behind the team for the run-in. And at the start of the game, you could sense that, as if the punters felt a kind of responsibility. But the first half was probably still a bit quiet. They weren't creating many chances. It was difficult for them to break Dundee down, as I said. But I must admit, towards the end, the crowd did really get behind them. And Danny Rose just said in his press conference there, it was brilliant. they obviously do this lap of honour that all these teams seem to do now on the pitch at full time, and he said when he came in October, there was like a big 50-metre distance between the players and the fans as they're walking down the pitch. Now they're a bit closer, and you can feel there's that connection's coming back. And it's hard for these punters because we've been through so many hard times. It's probably understandable that the atmosphere here hasn't been great for a while. Even thinking the start of this season under Russell Martin, how disastrous it was and how bad the football was to watch. So it's almost like it's taken a lot for them to start believing in Rowe and believing in this team. But I definitely felt today was a kind of turning point with that, just with the result at Tynecastle, the fact that they've closed the gap again, getting those 2 late goals, really good goals as well. The noise levels definitely went up, and I think Rangers are going to need that between now and the end of the season if it's going to be neck and neck between these 3 teams.
I think there's trust issues there, Scott. I think that these supporters have turned up season after season, seen the same failings, great expectations, not met by what they're witnessing on the pitch. There's a lot of scar tissue. There's some players there that have been there for a while. I think Chris Sutton, what did he call James Tavernier, a perennial loser or something like that, which is savage. Yeah. But I think there is an element of that, and the Rangers supporters, as much as they love the idea of this, I think that some of them, because of what the previous experience have led to, some of them will be a little bit afraid to really fall in behind this right now, because they've probably seen this movie too many times. Although this does feel like a different version of the movie, doesn't it? Because it's been a while since Rangers have put themselves into such a kind of strong position going into the run-in.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jacko. You can tell the punters are finding it hard to trust a Rangers team.
Yeah,
again, they've been burned so many times. They just refuse to believe it, almost, that they might actually be in this title race. But as I say, that's why today felt like a wee turning point for them. With that other result going the way most of them kind of wanted it to go, with Hearts and Celtic dropping points, and then getting the victory in a really a difficult game from Dundee, as I say, made it really hard. So I think you're spot on. There is trust issues, and it's going to listen. It's taking a long time. There's still a bit to go. There's still a long way to go in this title race. Let's face it, the Rangers, they could still finish third, and come May. And obviously, at the start of the season, you'd have said that's nowhere near good enough. Now that's obviously a lot to do with the start they made. But I think now fans are starting to believe, right, we're actually in this, as I say, 8 wins in the spin, a load of clean sheets. I don't know the exact numbers. But they're looking a lot more solid, structured, organised, things we spoke about on Thursday night, the way Danny Rose kind of changed them. And as I say, if he can add 1 or 2 more in January, especially in the attacking areas that we're talking about, then that will help them going forward.
Scott, as ever, it's always a pleasure having you in the Hotline Live. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll let you go away and get up the road. Sorry, Keith, you going to say something there? Keith was going to jump in.
No. I'm just thinking about. My head's in my French onion soup that I'm just about to make.
Well, there you go. On that note, Scott, safe travels up the road.
Enjoy. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, Scott.
Cheers, mate.
Scott at Ibrox there, Scott McDermott. And before I let you get to your soup, Keith, just one final thing. Mark Jones in the comments says you guys must be loving this season, the best title fight for a long time. And I think it's safe to say that, Keith, we are indeed loving it.
What's not to love? Scottish football has missed this.
Exactly.
And listen, I'm just writing a piece there for tomorrow's column, and there will be some Celtic fans who are looking about going, "What's this? Where did this come from? What's that knot in the pit of my stomach? Where did that come from? I've never experienced this before." Because Celtic have, been lords of all the survey for so long. This is unusual territory for the Celtic support in general, but for Scottish football, it's fantastic. This is what you dream of. A really competitive league, twists, turns, unpredictability, and the drama. And I said to you a few weeks ago, Dan, it's genuinely a case now. They've gone early. They're already sprinting, the three of them, towards the finish line halfway through the marathon. And what you're going to get is week after week, this same thing, that not in the stomach football, where, you know, the outcome of these games results mean everything. And we've been operating in a sort of echo chamber where that hasn't been, you know, the case for way too long. It's brilliant. Look, we might not have the English Premier League quality or money, but the drama is always there in Scottish football. So when you get the drama and the storylines, but you've also got a genuine three-way fight for the title, I mean, that's what it's all about. And, you know, the fans out there, it'll be painful at times, it'll be excruciating, it'll be nerve-wracking, but this is what a title race is supposed to feel like.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. JD there in the comments saying, I honestly think it will come down to the last game. And honestly, imagine the Hotline live.
By the way, it's got, this season has offered up just about everything. I mean, stuff that you couldn't have imagined. So yeah, does this season have the potential to go all the way to the final day? Absolutely it does.
The perfect note to end Sunday night's Hotline Live with Record Sport on. Thanks so much for the comments. As usual, they've been first class. Thank you so much. We'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. I hope you can join us then. But for now, Keith, enjoy the French onion soup.
Yes, bonjour.
Yeah, and I'll be round in 10 minutes. That sounds good. Just leave the door unlocked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching at home and hope you can join us tomorrow. Cheers.